Marty Reed with Positive Coaching Alliance. Welcome. Please send this link out to others so they can join in. I'm here live with USA Gymnastics. We're actually live broadcasting on both PCA Facebook page and USA Gymnastics Facebook page. So please join in. Thanks for joining us. We have the CEO of USA Gymnastics, Leung, and we also have the VP of Health and Wellness, Kranz. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us today. How are you both?
Thanks so much, Marty. We're really excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to make sure everyone...
Thank you for having us. It's really exciting.
Yes. This is something we've been anticipating and excited to have you on here, especially with our partnership. Positive Coaching Alliance is partnered with USA Gymnastics on a national level. So we have so much fun working with you and sharing content together, really providing resources to coaches, parents, athletes, families. So we really appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Facebook Live. I'm actually going to be following along on my phone to make sure that I'm seeing who's joining in on the call. And also, if they have any questions, I can look at my phone and ask those questions as well throughout the process. So those of you tuning in right now that just joined us, again, this is Marty Reed with Positive Coaching Alliance here with USA Gymnastics. Feel free to, give us a wave in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. And also, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, comments, anything, and you can follow along with us in that way. So thank you so much, and let's get started. Since we don't have too much time, I'd love to just start off with, how is USA Gymnastics currently communicating with its members during this time? What has been going on? How have you been communicating and, providing support to your members right now?
So obviously we can't do communication in person right now. It's one of the major challenges that we're having. We are really working, or virtually connecting with the community. We're trying to be a resource in terms of putting educational materials out there, in terms of, utilizing and leveraging some of our national team athletes to send uplifting messages to the community. We've been really bolstered in terms of the community spirit and the resilience that our community is showing in terms of sticking together and showing the spirit of gymnastics and their love of gymnastics coming through online. It's been nice to see, really nice to see.
It is. And we're going to actually link some of those resources throughout this interview so everyone can see and tap into those resources as well. So I really appreciate how you've been responding in this, uncertain time, in this sports hiatus. What is the current state of USA Gymnastics currently? What are your current goals and initiatives right now?
Well, we've always been throwing a little bit of a curveball. As the Olympics have been postponed a year. I don't think anyone expected that to happen. So we are working hard on pivoting, working closely with the athletes to make sure they have the resources. They're obviously not training right now. They're doing at least not training in the gym. They're doing home training, and it is a matter of really right now for us to focus on providing some of the mental health and wellness initiatives that Kim can talk about. To make sure that they're being supported through this really difficult time for them. I cannot imagine how heartbreaking it is for them to think that in terms of some of our athletes, the Olympics were just a few months away and that rug was pulled out from under them. So we want to be there side by side with them in terms of supporting them through this, and then supporting our community as well. So obviously athletes, first and foremost, make up a big part of our community. And then we have coaches and club owners and parents and volunteers and judges and administrators. And so as I mentioned before, we're trying to be a resource in terms of pushing out content for them to be able to access during these trying times.
Absolutely. And I just want to take a moment to recognize those that are joining in on the call. Thank you so much. I see Kimberly Ann from New Hampshire's here. Kristen Anderson in Maryland, thanks for joining. Jennifer Hager and Redmond. Oh, wow. So we have people all over the nation tuning in right now. Again, this is Marty Reed with Positive Coaching Alliance. We are here with USA Gymnastics. Now, Kim, as the VP of Health and Wellness, we have been working, PCA has been working with USA Gymnastics to provide a lot of education and content for parents. Can you talk to us about, the importance of that social emotional learning and making sure that we're supporting parents and the gymnasts and coaches positively working together, how that's important, and making sure that we are, or why it's so important for USA Gymnastics to partner with organizations like PCA and Safe Sport?
Yeah, so I think obviously the role of athlete health and wellness and the things that we need to look at are not just physical things, but also mental health. And so we've been really focusing our efforts on making sure that, especially during these times, the kids and parents have the resources that they need to help them through. Most of these kids who are participating in gymnastics, this is their entire life. This is their social circle. This is what they do to keep their minds and bodies healthy. And so being away from it is really difficult. Having a partnership with Positive Coaching Alliance really helps us to continue to push education around that well-being. And I think it's a great time for people to spend some time learning about some of these initiatives. And I think that when athletes, parents, and coaches are all on the same page, and when they can have that communication, that's so important. It keeps everybody healthier. Our athletes are more comfortable talking to their coaches when they're feeling uncertain, or even when they're having pain or some kind of injury, they can communicate that. And so I think it's really great that we have this partnership with Positive Coaching Alliance.
Yes, thank you. And how has Safe Sport, been beneficial and supportive in that initiative to make sure that safety is put at the top and the forefront of USA Gymnastics?
So our Safe Sport, so I'll provide a little bit of context to Safe Sport, because Safe Sport, there's the USA for Safe Sport, which is an independent organization, and that organization investigates certain types of abuse, misconduct, and issues like that. We have an internal Safe Sport program, and our internal Safe Sport program is really more than discipline or dispute resolution. Our internal Safe Sport program really spends a lot of their efforts on educational initiatives. And so the work that they're doing at this point in time is just continuing those same initiatives to make sure that we're providing that education and guidance that parents, athletes, coaches, club owners, everybody needs for kids to stay safe in our sport. And so we require every member to complete Safe Sport training. But we're also working on how do we prevent safety issues from occurring in the first place. And that's really the most important thing, is prevention.
Right.
And just to tag on to that, because Kim is exactly right. It's about prevention. It's about educating the community to get to the point of prevention. And we believe that this is, in order to get there, that it's a shared commitment amongst the community to be able to provide that. It doesn't come from one specific stakeholder in the community. It is a shared commitment among all the different stakeholders across the community to be able to get there.
100%. And that actually fits well with our theme currently right now. During this time, life is a team sport. We talk about now more than ever, everyone is on the same team. We have to be on the same page and working together. And that involves clear lines of communication, not just with coaches to athletes, but also with parents, with club directors. Everyone all has to be on the same page working together. And the conversations that we've had with USA Gymnastics is all about the importance of making sure that we all take on this responsibility to make sure everyone is safe, everyone is, having fun out there while they're competing and they're growing, because we know the benefits that, competing in sports can really provide huge opportunities for youth in life beyond, the playing field. So I think it's so important that we are all on the same page and we're not just talking to one stakeholder, right? Everyone's working together in this. And that leads me to my next question. Yep.
So sorry, just to add on to what you're saying, Marty, because you're exactly right. It is about the shared commitment amongst the community, and it's a shared commitment in terms of being also aligned of the objective of developing athletes. And you had asked before, what are some of our priorities? And I mean, one of our main priorities since I'd taken the helm of USA Gymnastics about a year ago is that we are really focused about holistically developing our athletes, which is why we're so excited about our partnership with you guys, is that it is about developing our athletes to best set them up for success in life. So it's not just about success within the gym, but it's about success in life beyond sport. And so how do we as a community come together to be able to develop our athletes in that holistic manner? And you're so right as well of the sport providing the foundation, learning the skills, not just from a physical aspect. I mean, gymnastics is, Kim and I will say gymnastics is a great sport because it gives you the foundational physical skills of strength and flexibility and things like power and things balance. But it's also about learning those other foundational skills that you apply later on in life. Discipline, focus, how to overcome adversity, things like that. And that's how we really want to be focused as an organization in terms of really setting our athletes up for success beyond the sport.
That's a great perspective. And for those that are just joining in with us, welcome. I see so many people are joining in from all over the country. Thanks for being here. Again, this is Marty Reed with Positive Coaching Alliance, and I'm here with USA Gymnastics. If you do have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or just say hello in the comments. Right now, we're talking about the holistic approach of the athlete and making sure that all stakeholders are on the same page and it's community-driven. And this leads us to our theme for this week. We talk about the growth mindset, something that we learned from Dr. Carol Dweck. She talks about two different types of mindsets. We have growth and fixed mindsets in our life. And we know when athletes have a growth mindset, they tend to take on challenges. They tend to be able to bounce back quicker after mistakes because they are, open to learning and growing and knowing that skills and talent, intelligence, things like that aren't set in stone. It can be learned and grown and developed throughout, the course of time. And it's important for us as coaches, as leaders, as administrators to help foster growth mindsets in, the kids that we are coaching and helping grow. So one of the things I wanted to ask, gymnastics being a very skill-driven sport, and oftentimes we see in gymnastics a lot of young gymnasts are focused on being perfect. There's a lot of people watching them all the time, and you're being scored and you're being ranked, and it could be difficult to foster that growth mindset in youth at this time. What are some ways that USA Gymnastics is helping fostering that growth mindset in a sport that is highly driven by perfection?
Yes, it's so it is a challenge in the sport, as you mentioned. Part of it, I think, starts with us as an organization, that we need to continue to challenge ourselves, and we need to continue to evolve as an organization, and we need to embody that growth mindset as well. And so we're in the process of doing that, challenging ourselves and acknowledging that it's okay to make a mistake because you learn from it and you grow from making mistakes. So it's also okay for our athletes to make mistakes because they learn and they grow from it as well. And I think the sport is very well situated in terms of being a growth mindset sport because it is about incremental progression. It's about learning skills and then building upon that foundation of that learning skill and then moving on to the next skill set and building upon that. And so I think our sport is very much a growth mindset sport, which then allows our athletes to develop in a lot of ways, not just physically and mentally as well, but it is about embracing the fact that it's okay to make a mistake. Right. It's okay to fall down because you'll get back up and you'll be stronger for it.
Yes. And in those moments when we do make a mistake, I think that's one of the biggest life lessons that I learned from sports. How to bounce back after a mistake or a quote unquote failure. And we talk about having a mistake ritual, something that you do with your teammates to acknowledge, hey, I just made a mistake. It's okay. I'm going to bounce back and be ready for the next event or the next, play and whatever sport it might be. So I think it's really important that coaches and parents understand that, mistakes are going to happen. And it's not necessarily about the mistake, but it's about how we're responding and moving forward and using that to help us grow and be better for the next play. Someone from, let's see, I do have a question from the audience. Kristen Anderson, thank you for this question. She asked, how is USA Gymnastics planning to apply this partnership with PCA to the growth and education of the club members of USA Gymnastics? I feel like I can help answer that too. But if you guys want to take a stab at it first.
Well, one of the partnerships that we signed was the live workshop. Now, we are being forced to innovate. Both of us are being forced to innovate because we don't think we'll be able to deliver live workshops anytime soon in a safe manner. That's what's important. We want to make sure that what we're doing is safe for our community. So I know we're right now in the middle in the process of changing those workshops to be virtual. Now, there's a silver lining around this because live workshops actually you can only meet a certain capacity with live workshops. Right. And now that we're looking at going virtual, we can actually expand the accessibility of those workshops. And so I know that's one of the things that we're working really closely with you on, Marty.
Yes. We will be doing virtual trainings for coaches and for leaders, so club directors and gym owners throughout the year to make sure that we are all on the same page and really developing the athletes in social emotional learning and really providing a safe space for athletes to come or gymnasts to come to learn, grow, get better at their skill, but also use those opportunities to grow in life. And we talked about those things that you learn from sports, the discipline, how to be a great teammate, how to develop that growth mindset, how to bounce back after mistakes. So we're going to be doing specific trainings for the coaches and for the administrators and even the parents as well to make sure that all are on the same page and everyone is connected in this positive way. We do have a couple of
Marty, just to add on to what you're saying, because what you're talking about, what we're talking about in general is about the cultural transformation of the sport, the acceptance of failure and getting back up and learning from it. Yeah. And so we acknowledge as an organization that we're in the process of this cultural transformation. We have a lot of work to do. Cultural transformation is the most difficult change to implement. And we know this will not happen overnight, but it is having partnerships like the ones with you guys that will help in this cultural transformation around the community, working with coaches and parents. And as we said, it's a shared commitment. But we acknowledge that there's a lot of work for us to do around this piece, and this is just the beginning of it.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like a reset, and I feel like a lot of organizations right now are kind of going through a reset because of the sports hiatus. It is an opportunity to take a step back and look at the culture within your organization, making sure that everyone's on the same page and we're moving in the right direction on the type of culture that you want to see within your program and within your organization. We do have a comment from Jennifer Hager. Thank you for this comment. She said, I appreciate the skill progression model of many gyms that help support growth mindset, as well as the recreational gymnastics opportunities for kids not interested in more intense competition. Thank you for that comment. Absolutely. Now, what are some ways, or how do you feel that parents can play a role in this culture shaping process? What role do parents play in the culture of shaping, USA Gymnastics moving forward?
They're a critical part of it. Parents spend a lot of time with our gymnasts, and they are a critical stakeholder of our community. And so we want to develop programming content that is geared specifically for them in terms of being able to be a part of this positive cultural transformation within our community. And can talk a little bit more about what we're doing in that area. But I know that one of the things that we are doing with you guys, Marty, is specifically related to putting out content. With parents, whether it be social content or whether it be online content as well. But the parents play a massive, massive role in the shaping of the gymnast and the positivity piece of the cultural transformation.
Yes, absolutely. And do you feel that, now that, all of the kids are home now with their parents. I don't know if you have kids yourself. What are some things that parents can do right now at home to help, their kids grow and continue to learn and have fun, but also, stay competitive and continue to be prepared to come back when sports does return?
So I think that
Kim, do you want to take this?
Yeah, I'll take it. I think it's really important for everybody to realize that every family is in a different situation. So, I think that right now what's the most important is that the community just be accepting of where people are and not have judgment if some kids aren't able to train at home and they're just they're home, doing schoolwork or keeping busy in other ways. So I think, number one, that's really important. And I think that parents need to understand that about their kids too. As stressful as this is for us as parents, it's stressful for the kids too. And so I think it's normal for these children to have different experiences, different emotions that maybe they didn't have before. They're really missing their friends. They're really missing their social circle. And they're really missing their sport. They're anxious about what it's going to be like to go back in the gym. How are they going to get back to their competitive level that they were at in a prior year? Are they going to be able to progress to the next level in gymnastics? And so there's a lot of worry and anxiety at all levels of the sport about what does it look like when I go back. And I think it's also important to make sure that we're not shaming our kids, that if they weren't training or didn't have the opportunity to do that, that there's no shame in that. This is a really difficult time and everybody copes differently. So it's okay for kids to have some downtime. It's okay for them to let their bodies rest and recover, to move away from that normal training and maybe even to try other things other than gymnastics. So this is a great opportunity for kids to take up a different hobby also. So it could be actually very helpful to our kids to have this break mentally and physically.
That's a great perspective. And, that brings me back again to our theme of life being a team sport right now. And what are some ways, coaches and club directors can support our families right now during this time and stay connected? What are some things that they can do to continue to support the kids as they're going through this process right now? And how has USA Gymnastics, on an internal level, nationally, stayed connected throughout this time? Can you give us some advice on that and ways that we can continue to stay connected and support each other?
And we have been so impressed in terms of our community with the coaches and club owners putting out so much content, positive content, online in terms of keeping the community connected through this. So there is a bit of physical training content online to keep the gymnasts engaged with the coaches and with the clubs, and for them to be able to create a social network amongst themselves as well, because Kim was talking about that a little bit earlier, is that the gym is a big part of their life, and without that, then they feel a void. So I've seen our clubs really rally around that spirit of connectivity and working really hard to keep their gymnasts connected through that way as well. And we can send out maybe a link to our resource page that has a lot of this content on it, so you can see a bit of what our clubs and coaches are doing right now.
Absolutely. We will link that in the comments section. I hope I think we linked it earlier, but we'll put that in there again. So because we are getting a lot of people tuning in, throughout this interview. Again, it's PCA here with USA Gymnastics. So if you do have questions or comments, please leave it in the comment section and I'll do my best to get to them. But we are going to be wrapping up pretty soon here. Just as far as ways that families can continue to stay motivated during this time. Is there anything at home? I mean, I know you gave a little bit of highlights to what some families are doing right now at home, but can you give us a bit more of those tangible things that families can be doing right now throughout this process to prepare for when sports does come back?
Yeah, so I think really it's important visit our page of resources because there are a lot of great resources there on physical training. There's a lot of great videos that our current national team members, former national team members have been putting together, and the coaches in the community too have really risen to the challenge and work to get content up for their athletes that help keep them healthy. So I think spending some time there and even with fitness exercising outside of gymnastics, there's really great resources. As the weather is getting nicer, we're in Indianapolis. It's starting to warm up finally. I think get outside, being out in nature is always great for the soul anyway. So getting outside to do some exercise, get your cardio in, is always a great thing to do.
But there's
a lot can be accomplished with body weight exercises.
Right.
So, I think you don't need a fancy home gym to be able to exercise at home. A lot of great exercise can be done just with body weight.
Yes, absolutely. And we won't get into too many of the details, but just talking about this cultural transition that USA Gymnastics is currently doing, what are some lessons or takeaways do you have from the way things were in the past and how you see this cultural transition and how you would like athletes to be coached? Let's talk about, from now in the next 5 years, how do we want athletes to be coached? And what does that cultural transition look like? And what does that perfect culture look like if all things go the way that we would like them to go?
Well, as I mentioned before, our focus is really on the holistic development of our athletes. That is what is important, that we want to be setting up our athletes, again, for success that is beyond the sport of just gymnastics. It's about thriving in life. That's what we're focused on right now. And so that looks like a lot of positivity. It looks like a really safe environment. It looks like gymnasts really enjoying themselves. It looks like, there's also the competitive piece of it. Our athletes like to compete, and so let's give them the environment they really want to thrive in terms of competition as well. As we mentioned before, it is about this shared commitment. It's not going to just come from us. It's not going to just come from the athletes. It's going to come from everyone in our community. But we also understand it starts with us, that we have to really believe in this, which we do, and we have to embody that value system as well. And we have to do that first and foremost, and then we drive that change into the community. But we're really, really excited in terms of that happening. Again, as you said, 5 years time, maybe even 10 years time. Right. We definitely have a long-term view on this. It will not happen tomorrow. It will not happen in a month's time. But it comes with hard work, and it comes with us believing in it on a daily basis, that we are embodying this in terms of what we do on every day, and then also, our community will start seeing it as well, and we'll see this flow into the community, and we'll see it flow into our gyms, and our gymnasts will feel it as well.
Amazing. Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned that top-down approach. It starts with the top and how everyone's on the same page and committed to this cultural transition, and really providing that support and help to all the families. And another thing that I really took away from this is mentioning the spectrum of, competition levels. There's a spectrum. Not all athletes are the same. Not all athletes want to compete the same. So recognizing that, respecting that, and continuing to providing that support and resources for all of the families and members within USA Gymnastics. So I really appreciate you both. For those tuning in right now, if they have any further questions, where can they go to access more content, more information, more support from USA Gymnastics?
So our website, usagym.org. And there's actually from that homepage, you'll also see a link to our coronavirus updates, which we are updating on a daily basis. And again, that is resources for the entire community, not just our athletes, but for parents, club owners, and coaches as well. So there's anything from the physical training aspect to the business side of running a gym as well. and we're compiling this information, curating it, and then pushing out to the community.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap up here. I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate both of you for your time. Thank you to all those that have tuned in today. We're going to be continuing to do these Facebook Lives throughout the week. And if you have any further questions or would like to access more resources, please take a look at the comments, because we have been linking the direct, links in the comment section for you to continue to go and learn more about the things that we discussed today. I just wanted to say thank you both again for your time and your expertise. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So everyone, stay tuned. We'll be doing Zoom video trainings with USA Gymnastics and providing tons of articles, resources, content throughout the year. So stay tuned, and we are here to support you all. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.